Please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
A big day for Mumbai. The long-awaited Development Plan 2034 has finally got a nod from the government. While the DP is a crucial document in determining the city's land use and infrastructure development for the next 20 years, this is also a document that sets the path for making Mumbai a more livable city and comes after 25 years. The current blueprint, which exists, was prepared sometime in the 1980s when the textile industry was nearing collapse and was sanctioned in 1994. Mumbai's population that time was 9.9 million and today it's 22 million, with 41% of its population living in the slums. Let me toss to my colleague Ashwini Priyolkar, who was at the press conference. So Ashwini, what are the highlights? And I believe the government is likely to keep this open for one more month for public suggestions.
Mumbai's draft development plan 2034 is as good as approved, but for a few technicalities. The government is going to come out with 2 notifications in next 10 to 15 days and again invite for some suggestions and objections. And what we have learned from our sources is that within a month, the DP will be implemented in the city. Now coming to some of the core issues that have been raised in this DP, first is affordable housing. New land has been opened up for affordable housing. 330 hectares of salt pan land and 2,100 hectares of non-development zone is now opened up for affordable housing. They have also made few changes to the FSI. The FSI of Island City has been increased to 3 from earlier 1.33 and commercial FSI has been increased to 5. It is also important to note that all the changes that have been made to FSI are now applicable for the ongoing projects, new project and for select few completed projects as well. Eco-sensitive zones have now been named as natural zones and absolutely no construction will be allowed in these areas, thereby protecting Mumbai's mangroves and other sensitive areas.
All right, Ashwini, thank you very much for joining us and giving us the highlights. Let's get the expert reactions on Mumbai Development Plan 2034. Niranjan Hiranandani, co-founder and MD of Hiranandani Group, joins us. We are also joined by Chandrasekhar Prabhu, housing activist, Ramesh Nair, CEO and country head of JLL India, and Purva Divolkar, program coordinator at Tata Institute of Social Sciences. All right, so it's not 37 hectares as we heard, but 21 hectares of no development zone and 330 hectares of salt pan, so 2,400 hectares. So my first question to you, Mr. Hiranandani, are you disappointed that, the land release is lower than the sum that we were anticipating?
Of course, every time dil mange more, but I think the basic idea was to see that the target of 1 million affordable housing should be achieved. That was the target which I think Mr. Devendra Fadnavis had given it to the development planners, that we need to achieve that kind of housing in order to make a paradigm happen. As you said before, 45% of the people live in jhopatpattis in Mumbai. And if you count dilapidated and other housing, my gut feel is more than 60 people are living in houses which they should not be staying in as far as the city is concerned. So I think the new development plan clearly makes a mandate in order to move in the right direction. There was, of course, the very, very, very big concern of people, especially like Mr. Chandrasekhar Prabhu, where he rightly pointed out that the infrastructure of Mumbai would not be able to carry this kind of weight. But today, as you have seen, the population has already come into the city and there is no alternative and you can't push them out of Mumbai. We need to create housing stock in order to meet the objectives of this. So I think a good start is taking place for the purposes of it. Second, most important thing is the fact that commercial development after the more than 25 years, 30 years has been emphasized beyond the point. Up till now, it was always send people out of Mumbai for jobs, remove the factories from here, remove the commercial development from here. But people have understood that it are the cities of India and like smart cities of India that have created the GDP growth and employment potential, not only the agriculture areas. So I think that direction is also made clear that economic development pari passu has to run along with the residential accommodation, and the walk to work, instead of just creating 3 or 4 centers like BKC, Parel, Nariman Point, and so on and so forth. Now you will have decentralized commercial development which will actually change the face of Mumbai. And that, along with infrastructure of metro, will make a change Mumbai happen, and hopefully in an early period of time.
All right, let me then go to Ramesh Nair. Ramesh Nair, the DP says that now commercial FSI goes up to 5 from the current 2.66. And as Mr. Hiranandani pointed out, I mean, 2 decades ago, the thought was that Mumbai should not get congested and you should not allow business to flourish in the island city. This is a big departure because at the press conference, the municipal commissioner also made a point that Mumbai needs to create 8 million new jobs by 2034. You think now with the FSI going up that is possible?
Manisha, fantastic initiative by the Chief Minister in passing this. The last time the DP was announced in 1981, it took 13 years to pass. This time we managed to do it in 3 to 4 years. We started work on it in 2014. So that itself is point number 1. Point number 2, there was so much of confusion in the Mumbai real estate last 2 years. One was the dumping ground issue. Second was the confusion with regards to DP 2034, because of which supply had stopped coming in the city. And if supply doesn't come, how will prices be reasonable and how will people be able to afford? So with this, that confusion is over. So new supply, new launches will start again. Third, like you mentioned, commercial development 5 FSI is very, very good, because if you don't create jobs, how will you create demand for housing? What the city needs is a creation of jobs, and commercial office space construction is a direct correlation of creating jobs. Bangalore is a great example. Hyderabad is a great example. The other good things which he's done is he hasn't played around with environmentally sensitive zones like mangroves, like the RA Mill colony. He's done a good job by mentioning it in his speech that he's not going to be touching that. He's also spoken about how transit-oriented development will get more FSI. This is a concept which is widely practiced across the world. So many of these schemes will definitely help. Non-SEZ development, he said, will get a FSI of 3. Cluster development, he's mentioned, will get an FSI of 4. I truly believe whatever announcements have been done today, whatever has been passed, will be game-changing for the city.
All right, game-changing for the city. Now let's get in Mr. Prabhu. Mr. Prabhu, you were always concerned that, look, Mumbai is such a dense city, you take it more vertical, you try and create more affordable housing stock. You know, people are going to spill over and we're going to lose probably more and more open spaces. Infrastructure will crumble. But here we have 2 very strong voices which are saying that it's good for the city to create more jobs and more affordable housing stock. Your reaction?
First of all, let me clarify a few numbers which you threw at the initial part of this discussion. Mumbai doesn't have 22 million people. Mumbai's population is 12 million people. 22 million is MMR population, not Mumbai. This DP doesn't cover 22 million people. This DP covers only 12 million people. So that's number 1. Number 2, very clearly that in the past 20 or 30 years, there have been 200 changes in the DCRs. Now, these 200 changes were to bring about affordable housing. Did we bring affordable housing? 14 lakh 1.5 million houses were to be built for the slum dwellers. In 30 years, we barely managed 100,000 houses. 2.5 million people live in old and dilapidated buildings, which is 16,000 buildings. In the past 30 years, we have redeveloped only 1,800 of the buildings. At this pace, it's going to take us 300 years to do it. It was expected that something new, something novel is thought by the government to do it.
So are you disappointed, sir? Are you saying that you're disappointed with the development plan and you're saying that affordable housing stock? Very quickly, sir, please give us your point.
Let me complete. Affordable housing is earmarked only for the no development zone. No development zone and salt pan lands are on the periphery of Mumbai. The entire city of Mumbai gets affordable housing from redevelopment schemes. There is no change in redevelopment schemes. I'm sitting in the CNBC office here. It took me 1 hour to get into a 1 kilometer space to get to CNBC office in the mill areas of
Okay.
Mumbai.
All right,
Now,
sir. Your point well taken. Your
2.5
point well taken. Let me please also get other opinions here. Purva is on the phone line with us. Purva, we've heard both sides of the story. What is your reaction to two big things which this development plan seems to have now made Mumbai look forward to? One is affordable housing stock, and the second is that Mumbai can now create much more commercial space and become a thriving economic, financial capital, let's say, all over again, reclaim its place, probably from a Bangalore.
Yeah, the earlier point which the earlier panelist made about affordable housing was quite interesting, where the affordable housing is seen through the mechanism of redevelopment, and the existing affordable housing is not being looked at. So the slums or the areas which give an opportunity for affordable housing are being not looked at as an upgradation scheme or other schemes which can be introduced in Mumbai per se. But then we are looking at redevelopment and opening up new lands for affordable housing. That is one point. And the other point which I want to make is that the people got 60 days for suggestion objection. And then the state bureaucrats were working on it for around 36 months. I hope they come up with a very brilliant plan this time, because they've been working on it for 36 months. And people just gave in suggestion objections for only 60 days. Understand the plan and then give suggestion objections.
Well, I
So
think
we will
the
look at the
first time though, I must say, Purva, I mean, since 2014, and since all of you pointed out that the first draft was full of faults, it was actually chucked and a new plan was made with all those faults. All right, let's hold our thoughts. I mean, both of you have put together or put forth very important points. Let's take a very quick short break. We need to come back and discuss this whole conundrum of affordable housing. Why not look at existing slum redevelopment policies in a better way? Did Mumbai really need to open up new land parcels? Yes, probably it did, but could it not have been done in, together with looking at redevelopment policies and slum rehab policies as well? Stay with us. Welcome back. Our focus is on Mumbai Development Plan 2034. After 25 years, the city's got a blueprint on which it can base its future development. Couple of things which were critical for the city: a crying need for affordable housing for people living in slums and also those who can't affordable homes, and of course making the city a viable economic destination all over again. Mr. Hiranandani, you heard the counter argument. This is pretty much the big debate on Mumbai in terms of why did you need to open up new parcels and not just look at relooking at your slums and redevelopment policies. Second, sir, there's so much skepticism that even by adding this 2100 plus 330 hectares of land, will you get the affordable housing story right? What do you think?
I think I agree with Chandrasekhar Prabhu that we haven't made successes of the schemes which have already been implemented. So obviously there is a sort of a doubt whether the future schemes are really going to happen and whether the leadership will be able to use this new policies lucratively in the open lands. My view is very simple, that unless you don't be given an opportunity, you can't win. Second, the kind of redevelopment which has taken place and the kind of slum schemes which have taken place, a lot of negative political intent has fallen into it, with slum lords and other people and political people trying to take advantage of all these things. And there are various people who are in the slum schemes which are actually meant to act as brokers for the deal rather than actually carrying out these things. And hence it has become very difficult for regular developers to enter and do these type of schemes successfully. Now, if we waited for all these negatives to get out of the situation in the case of redevelopment / SRA schemes, then I think this next 5 years would have been wasted. With vacant land being available and government having sufficient money in their kitty for the purposes of development, and the Prime Minister has kept aside a lot of money, almost 50,000 crores of rupees to initiate developments under the Prime Minister's direction for the purposes of this housing. I think a start can be made for the purposes of creating affordable housing. And if on a cost-to-cost basis of construction cost, these people are given houses, then the money will just be rotated and you will really have a zero investments at the end of giving affordable housing, because you will be giving it at construction cost alone.
All right.
So I think this is a new phenomena, and unless we don't try it, you cannot dam it.
Okay.
So I think the idea is really, if A scheme has not worked, we need to do a B scheme. So all the best to the B scheme. And my view is Devendra Fadnavis will succeed. All the best to him.
All right. The B scheme. Ramesh Nair, what's your opinion? Do you believe that private developers will also partake in some of the land bounty which will be now made available to Mumbaikars? And how do you make sure that, you know, this really remains for affordable housing, does not become speculative, does not become a land grabbing story where, you know, again, there are towers coming up for the rich and famous?
Manisha, this Chief Minister has at least shown the intent through various infrastructure initiatives and getting this DP passed reasonably quickly, that he wants to help. He wants to help the people. What's preventing affordable housing in the country? We know it's single window approvals. We know plans don't get sanctioned for us. Land availability is a big challenge. With this, ND said the 2,400 hectares you mentioned, at least a good amount of land comes into it. It's okay if it's in the peripheries. Nobody wants to stay in South Mumbai. It's fine if some housing, some affordable housing is coming. Again, if you look at what the government has done at the central level, we need to kind of look at this being complementary to some of those, like whether it's the PMAY, whether it's the tax rebates for developers, the ATIB schemes, whether it's the
Ramesh, my question is, are you confident that affordable housing stock will be created in this 2,400 hectares of land which will be released? It's a yes or a no question.
I'm very confident. I'm very confident it will happen. It has to be done in a transparent manner, but without PPP, it may not happen.
It may not happen. So the government alone may not be able to do it. All right, Purva, you were saying something that you've studied the DP. I believe it's going to be open to the public for 30 days, and the municipal commissioner will have the powers to rectify if there are any faults found in the plan. Are you comfortable with that openness of the current notified plan?
Yeah, my point was that the state bureaucrats have worked on it for 36 months, and the people get 30 days to understand the DP and then file suggestion objection. So I hope that the bureaucrats have really looked in people's minds and then studied and then done the DP.
All right. Okay, you're saying that that 36 months is a long time for them to have actually looked at closing all the loopholes.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Prabhu, final question to you. Yes, everything in Mumbai to create affordable housing and to get rid of slums has failed, sir. But why not welcome new land when it's becoming available in a land-starved city?
This has been a cliched statement. Last 35 years, every time a new measure is taken for increase of FSI, we are told this is for the poor. When the Urban Land Ceiling Act was scrapped, we said now affordable housing will come. When the FSI was increased, we were told affordable housing will come. When the mill lands were sold to the greed of the builders, we were told affordable housing will come. When the FSI of the suburbs was increased from 1 to 3, we were told affordable housing has come. At least 31 times the measures were taken and we were told affordable housing will come. Affordable housing never came. The question is, when you make a move to permit land grabbing of government lands, you only do it in the name of the poor, and the poor never get it. It's only slogans. And coming to the Maharashtra government's financial condition, Niranjan knows very well, he's my friend, that we are more than 3.5 lakh crore in debt. Where does the government have money? The government doesn't have money. Every month, I very closely monitor happenings in the Mantralaya. Giving salaries is a major problem to the government. And you're saying there is money. There is no money with the government. I'm sorry. This money has to come from the land, and when it comes from the land, it is not going to be affordable. We want affordable housing. We want rationalization in this, in the prices.
Okay.
We want that DCR should be promoted in such a way to promote affordable housing, but that's not what is happening.
Okay. All right, Mr. Prabhu, we've completely run out of time. I think you have made your point very strongly, sir, very strongly, sir. And I think that skepticism right now is well-founded, because look at the history of Mumbai. Affordable housing still remains a big pipe dream. And of course, people living in slums, the numbers aren't reducing. Niranjan Hiranandani, Ramesh Nair, Chandrasekhar Prabhu and Purva, thank you very much for joining me. I mean, Mumbai is looking at becoming an employment generation hub all over again, creating affordable housing stock. But the past, at least, is something that doesn't give people a lot of confidence. So skepticism will remain till we see some on-ground implementation of the Development Plan 2034, as has been notified today. And of course, 1 month left for the government and for the public to actually come out with any big faults in the plan. So we don't take it as final, but almost final. I'm signing off now. We will keep this conversation going in the coming days. Thanks so much for joining me.